commentary on Revelation 16 1 to 16. This passage presents the outpouring of the seven bowls, depicting the climactic phase of divine judgment within the apocalyptic vision. The imagery is intense, symbolic, and covenantal in nature, reflecting the culmination of a transition already set in motion earlier in the narrative. Verses 1 to 2. The first bowl, earth struck. The command from the temple signifies divine authorization. Judgment proceeds directly from the presence of God. The first bowl targets the earth, a term often functioning within this context as the land associated with the covenant people rather than the entire globe. The affliction of sores upon those bearing allegiance to the beast mirrors covenant curses found in earlier scriptures, particularly those tied to disobedience under the Mosaic framework. This judgment reveals a distinction between those aligned with the old order, marked by the beast, and those identified with the Lamb. The plague is not arbitrary, but corresponds to covenantal accountability. Verse 3, the second bowl, sea turned to blood. The sea becomes like the blood of a dead man, and every living thing in it dies. This intensification echoes earlier trumpet judgments, but now reaches fullness. The sea, often symbolic of the nations or chaotic Gentile world, reflects the collapse of life and stability beyond the land. The imagery recalls the plagues of Egypt, suggesting that what once befell Egypt as an oppressor now falls upon a system that has become similarly resistant to divine authority. Verses 4 to 7. The third bowl. Waters become blood rivers and springs. The sources of fresh water are turned into blood. This indicates that even the sources of life are affected. The angel's declaration emphasizes the righteousness of this act. Those who shed the blood of saints and prophets are now given blood to drink. The response from the altar reinforces the justice of the judgment. The altar, previously associated with the cries of the martyrs, now affirms that their cause has been vindicated. The language highlights measured recompense rather than indiscriminate wrath. Verses 8 to 9. The fourth bowl, scorching fire. The sun, normally a source of light and life, becomes an instrument of torment. Those affected respond not with repentance but with blasphemy, indicating a hardened state. This reveals a key theme. The judgments expose rather than produce the condition of the heart. The resistance shown here aligns with the broader narrative of persistent opposition despite escalating signs. Verses 10 to 11. The fifth bowl, darkness on the throne. The bowl is poured upon the throne of the beast, striking at the center of its authority. Darkness envelops the kingdom, echoing another Egyptian plague and symbolizing the collapse of power and clarity. The gnawing of tongues and continued blasphemy show that even when authority structures are destabilized, allegiance to them persists among their followers. The system's darkness becomes both literal and symbolic. Verses 12 to 16. The sixth bowl, drying of the Euphrates and gathering for battle. The drying of the Euphrates prepares the way for kings from the east. Historically, the Euphrates functioned as a boundary, and its removal signifies the opening of access for invasion. The imagery points to the removal of restraint and the inevitability of what is to come. Unclean spirits like frogs proceed from the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet, forming a counterfeit trinity. These spirits perform signs to gather the rulers for a final confrontation. The deception is spiritual in nature, drawing together forces under a unified opposition. The gathering place, called Armageddon, carries symbolic weight. Rather than indicating a literal geographic battlefield, it evokes the idea of a decisive and climactic conflict. The term itself connects with historical sites of significant battles, reinforcing the theme of a final reckoning. The inserted declaration, "Behold, I come like a thief," serves as a reminder of imminence and suddenness. The language aligns with earlier teachings about unexpected visitation, emphasizing readiness in contrast to the blindness of those being gathered. Summary, insight. Revelation 16:1-16 portrays the completion of a series of judgments that are covenantally rooted, historically resonant, and symbolically rich. The progression from bowl to bowl reveals not random destruction, but a structured unveiling of justice against a system that has reached its fullness. The imagery consistently draws from earlier scriptural patterns, especially the Exodus narrative, showing continuity in how divine judgment is portrayed. At the same time, the focus narrows toward a specific culmination, where opposition is fully exposed, gathered, and brought to its decisive end.